Do you like to gamble? Most people do. But what if I asked if you like to gamble with the sale of your home? Different answer, huh? Then I recommend you stay tuned to find out the #1 gamble homeowners make when selling their home. I'm Rick Baker, the Realty Doctor with Portside Real Estate, and welcome to another episode of House MD, where I explore the science of real estate. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, since I'm also a licensed real estate appraiser, and that is home appraisals. You might be wondering, how can an appraisal be the biggest gamble when selling your home? Picture this: you found the one buyer who loved your home the most and was willing to pay the highest price for it. Great, right? Not so fast. If they aren't paying cash, the buyer's lender is going to be sending an appraiser out to the property to value it. The appraisal is ordered by the bank to protect their interests, not the home buyer. The bank doesn't want to lend money on a home that isn't worth the price the buyer is paying. The bank wants to make sure if one day the buyer cannot make their mortgage payments, and the bank unfortunately had to foreclose, that they could sell the property and cover their note. If the house doesn't appraise at the purchase price, the buyer may not be able to get financing, and the deal could fall apart. Sometimes a buyer or their agent can even make an offer on a property hoping it doesn't appraise, giving the buyer a chance to renegotiate the price down. In a lot of cases, the seller has a new home under contract or has already made plans to move, and they don't want to risk the property falling through at such a late date, so they begrudgingly reduce the price to the appraised value. But there's a good chance you could have avoided this situation if you had a realty doctor on your side. So I have some tips to help reduce the chance of you losing the appraisal gamble. So first, let's talk about a few options to protect yourself as a home seller before you even accept an offer. The first thing you can do is the easiest, but not an option for a lot of home sellers, and that is accept an offer from a cash buyer. Cash buyers are not getting a loan from a bank, so they do not need an appraisal to be done on the property. Say for example, your house was worth $600,000, but tomorrow a buyer walks in and offers you $1 million. Great, right? What if they had to get financing? If the appraisal came back at $600,000, the value of your home, the buyer most likely wouldn't be able to get financing, and they wouldn't be able to close at $1 million even if they wanted to. Now in that same scenario, if the buyer was paying cash, that deal closes at $1 million and the seller gets over market value. The second way to protect yourself is to accept an offer from a buyer with a higher down payment. The higher the down payment, the less likely a low appraisal will derail the deal. Typically, if a home appraises for under the sale price, the buyer has 3 options. They can come up with additional cash to pay the difference, they could pay some more mortgage insurance on the property, or they could ask the seller to renegotiate the price down. Buyers with a higher down payment are more likely to be able to cover the difference in cash or still get approved for the loan with a small mortgage insurance premium. A higher down payment buyer may just need the appraisal to come in close to the sale price and not fully at the sale price in order to still get approved. The third way, and my favorite way to deal with this, is to try to negotiate appraisal language into the offer before accepting it. This language may state that the buyer will pay the difference between a low appraisal and the sale price. It can also state that the buyer will pay a certain amount over the appraised value. There are a few different ways to draft appraisal protection language for the seller. This is my favorite way because it allows us to be proactive rather than reactive to an appraisal issue. The buyer is also excited at this point and wants their offer to get accepted. But what if you accept an offer from a buyer with a low down payment, or with special financing such as a VA or an FHA loan that come with special clauses that require the property to appraise at the purchase price? You still have options. The first option is to make sure the appraisal gets ordered right away. You'll have more time to use some of the following options if you get the appraisal back early in the transaction. The second option is to make sure you're prepared when the appraiser comes out to the property, or hire a realtor like myself who also has an appraisal license. Since I am also an appraiser, I know the job the appraiser is trying to do, since I have also appraised thousands of properties throughout my career. Appraisers are more likely to take comparable sales data or advice from a fellow appraiser rather than a real estate agent. But even if you don't have an appraiser as your agent, you can benefit by giving the appraiser relevant information to the report, such as list of updates in the years they were done, zoning information, a copy of the deed, dimensions of the property, etc. This information helps to show the appraiser money that has been put into the property and also helps save them time when they write your report. But what if after all that, the appraisal still comes in low? What are your options? The first option is to know how to challenge the appraisal. The main thing to look for is whether the appraiser made any errors or missed a more recent or better comparable sale that may cause them to reconsider the value. It is typically rare that they will change the value unless you can show them some information you have missed, but it's always worth a shot. If the appraisal comes in low and the challenge is unsuccessful and the buyer still wants the home, they actually have enough time to switch lenders and get a new appraisal. This only works if you truly feel you got a bad appraisal and that a new appraisal would come in at a higher value. This also will only work if your buyer has a conventional loan, as an FHA appraisal will stay with the property for 120 days. I have personally had situations where changing lenders have led from a low appraisal coming in over the sale price the second time around. As you can see, there is a lot that goes into the appraisal, and many different ways that you can protect yourself from the appraisal gamble as a seller, both before and after offer acceptance. But maybe the best course of action in situations like this is to have a realty doctor on your side. I take great care in making sure all my clients' bases are covered so that the property closes at the agreed upon price. If you've had an appraisal issue, or you're a seller with a unique property, or are worried about appraisal issues when selling, give me a call, text, or email today. I'd be happy to discuss your situation with you. Thanks for watching. I'm Rick Baker, the Realty Doctor with Portside Real Estate.